Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. So today we're going to look at what is CSS Flexbox. CSS Flexbox is a web layout model, and it allows elements on the page to be arranged on the actual web page. So if we go to inspect elements and we look at the dev tools, we'll see here this div markdown body MB-8. This is a class. This is the HTML, and then the CSS is what styles it and displays it. Here on the right panel here, you'll see the color. You can switch it to red or green, what have you. That is the CSS. And the web page is composed of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML, what I just showed you, hypertext markup language. It defines the content, logical structure of these pages. CSS stands for cascading style sheets, and it's defined how the page looks, the colors, the layout, the styling. Flexbox deals with the layout of the elements on the page, and JavaScript defines generally how it behaves. It can also help or work into a display, layout, that kind of thing, but generally how the site behaves is JavaScript. Flexbox is a way to define the layout part of these HTML elements, and it provides an easy, clean way to arrange items within a container. So in the past, a couple of years back when the web was new or developing and improving, other techniques were used, including designing with tables, the float property, and inline block elements to varying degrees of success. Flexbox is newer because it fits based on its viewport, and it can adjust in size accordingly on desktop and tablet and mobile devices. And until Flexbox came around, Bootstrap and Foundation were kind of the popular CSS frameworks that popularized that grid style layout that Flexbox has natively, that one direction layout. And it helped standardize layout on the web in the mid 2010s to 2015s. And Flexbox, it has two axes, the main axis and the cross axis. The main axis is kind of the flex direction property, and the values can be either a row or column, row reverse or column reverse. So here, these two axes, that's in the image here. And then an area on the web page that is using Flexbox is called the Flex container. You set the display property to Flex, and that's the container. And then the direct children become Flex items. And those Flex items have properties that you can tell how you want them laid out on the page. Just a key feature is kind of the ability to align and justify items on the main and the cross axes. And distributing space between items used to require adding margin or padding between the elements, and then adjusting that margin or padding based on the viewport you were looking at. And you can get pretty close by using percentages, EM units, or pixels, but it usually required some adjustments at certain viewpoints. Flexbox, fortunately, automatically takes care of this and keeps the elements distributed based on what property you select. So you can do, probably in most use of value I see is space between, and it takes up all the space of the items, share them evenly between the elements here, and you can resize the page, go on a new device, and it will look the same. Most of the time on the projects I'm on, Flexbox is already existing in the code base, and you'll need to edit or add the properties to a new component. And when developing, I typically have a resource pinned. The best one I have found on the web is CSS Tricks. So as long as you know generally how Flexbox works, what you're trying to get done, you can use this bookmark here and this document to figure out which properties and values that you want to use to match the design and the intended look and feel of the page. So too long, didn't read. Flexbox is a CSS layout model or technique that arranges elements in an efficient manner on desktop and mobile. Now it only deals with kind of one dimension here, so it only deals with either this dimension or this dimension based on the flex direction. If you want 2D layout, there is CSS Grid, and that is extended and can be used in addition to Flexbox as well, or with Flexbox as well. The two main elements are kind of the Flex container, that's the parent, and then its direct children are the Flex items. And then the Flex items you can put properties on. This is much improved from the tables, block, and inline.